Hey, this is Andrew Riley with the module day, and I've been on vacation for a little bit, but now I'm actually going to be changing things up slightly. With the old version, I had to do a lot of editing and I don't know, a lot of post-production work. It was kind of difficult. So now I'm going to change it up. I'm going to try doing this as videos on YouTube and then, put out some audio for the podcast listeners. Hopefully that will save me some time in all the production. Anyway, leave me a comment at moduleaday.com if you like the new format. If you don't, I'm interested in hearing some feedback on it. So today's module is a module that I put on every site that I tend to go with or that I create, and that is the Google Analytics module. Now you might be saying, why do I need a module for Google Analytics? It's something really easy. I can just add it into my page template. Well, there's a few different reasons that I don't do that. First is, if I'm using a third-party template, I don't want to make modifications to it. That way, if there's an update, I can just, copy that over. And I know there are ways around that with sub-themes, but it's really not needed. This is a super simple module, but it also gives you some abilities that I wouldn't say you don't normally have, but most people don't normally look into when they're implementing Google Analytics. So you can get the module at Drupal.org, like always. And once you have it installed on your site, oh, by the way, since I went on vacation, I decided it was time for the podcast to go Drupal 7. So now I'm going, so now all the modules will be in Drupal 7, since that's what a lot of people are starting to turn to. Okay, so on my example site, I already have the module enabled. It's real simple. It's just one module. And you can see it right down here. It's Google Analytics, and it's enabled. Now, to configure it, it's really simple. You can just go to your configuration. Now, you can see up here on the top of the screen, I have a pink notice that says one or more problems was detected with your Drupal installation. Believe it or not, that's the Google Analytics module complaining that I don't have it configured. You can either click on the status report and go and set it up by clicking a couple links through there, or you can just go down in your system area to Google Analytics. Now, the beginning setting for this module is super simple. It's just your web property ID. You get that from Google Analytics. I'm going to just type in a fake one. And down here is where it starts getting interesting. That's your tracking scope. You can set your domains, pages, a whole bunch of things. So domains, it gives you the options. You can set it for a single domain, which is pretty normal. In my example site, it's localhost, but it'd be, example.com or whatever your site is. Now, under that, you can have one domain with multiple subdomains. So it might be www.yourdomain or app.yourdomain. So that's another common option. And then the third option is a less common one, is multiple top-level domains. So that could be example.com, example.net. Most of the time, I set up 301 redirects if I have multiple top-level domains, and I just use them to point over. It does ask you to put in your top-level domains if you do choose that third option. So pages, this is a pretty cool feature. You can tell it to only track on certain pages or to exclude certain pages. So like if you don't want to track the admin pages because that will give false values for your false hits, you can exclude them. By default, it puts a whole bunch in here that are generally helpful. Sometimes you'll want to remove them, like node add. If you have a site that's open to the public and they're creating nodes, you probably want to track that. Same with the node ** and user. So definitely take a look at this and custom tailor this to your site. Roles, this is another good one. So you can tell it to track certain roles or even to exclude certain roles. So you know what, if administrators are going to throw off your analytics because they go to different parts of the site than the general public, you'll definitely want to do this. Now, don't freak out when you first install this module. None of the roles are clicked, but add to the selected roles only is highlighted. So, but if you look at the note at the bottom, it says if none of the roles are selected, all users will be tracked. So don't freak out. Basically, if it's in a default state, it will track everyone. The next option is users. You can go down and you can custom tailor how users will be tracked. So you could choose tracking on by default. Users will opt in or opt out of tracking permission. So you have a couple different options that really lets users choose if they're going to be tracked or not. I haven't used this on a site yet. I think it's a cool feature, but I'm not sure if it's giving the user too many choices and it might make them kind of paranoid. Not totally sure. So then on the links and downloads, this very, very wide page is allows you to choose what you track. Now, these are some of the features that most people don't enable on their Google Analytics if they're just putting in manually. So you can track your outbound links, you can track your mail tos, you can even track downloads. And the list that you see here is actually a huge list of file types that it will track. And you can also, I never use this option, but you can also track clicks on outbound links as page views. I don't do that because it's normally tracked as an event. I don't want it to go as a page view. It seems like it would throw off my settings. And then there's search and AdSense. So if you use the Google internal search or you use AdSense, I would definitely recommend you check those so it ties in. And then privacy. This is a really nice feature. You can anonymize your visitor's IP address, and you can enable universal web tracking opt-out. Now this, I'm not going to get into it too much, but it depends on your visitor's browser and how they have that configured. But there is a helpful link that you can click on to find out more about that. You also have a section for custom variables. Now you can put in a name that will help you remember what it is. It might be role or something like that. And then in value, you can then put in tokens for it. I don't have tokens installed on my example site, but I'll just pretend that role is a valid token. And then you can track that through Google Analytics to see if certain people of a certain role are doing different things or maybe reach a goal. Now under advanced settings are just a couple more options. Most of the time I don't mess with these. You can locally cache a tracking code file. So that means it's going to copy down the JavaScript file to your server, and it does it I think once a day. So then you don't have to be reliant on Google's servers for that JavaScript code. The next one is custom JavaScript code. If you want to inject special JavaScript, you can. I think I've only tried it with the page speed loading, but you can put that code in there. And then there's JavaScript scope. So your header. It's by default in the header. Most of the time you don't need to change this. If for some reason you do, you can change it out to footer. I just leave it as header. I'm going to go ahead and save. Now, I guess my fake number isn't right. Let's try this fake number. There we go. Okay. My fake number is all set up. And let's see if I go to my home page, if I have any special options. Yep. And because I enabled the opt-out, you can actually edit your user, and you can go and enable user tracking or turn it on or off, or allow your users to do that. So in this case, I'm going to turn it off for myself and save, and now it's all set. So that is the Google Analytics module. I highly recommend it for all of your Drupal sites, and yeah, it's available for Drupal 5, 6, and 7. So there really is no excuse to not use it.